I want the discussion. I don't want you to stop the discussion because I'm appearing as though I can't handle it. Just my body's response to conflict is crying.
I've come to understand that about you. All right, here comes a tough conversation we're about to have, and she is more than likely going to cry, and it is what it is, but we need to have it, because if we don't, then this is going to continue to fester and get worse. I wonder what the largest baby ever born was.
That would be interesting to... I was like,
I'm
Google it.
I'm going to Google it. The heaviest baby ever recorded by the Guinness Book of World Records was 22 pounds.
A 22-pound baby?
It was born to Hannah Bates, who is 7 feet 11 inches tall.
What?
Hey, here we are. It's Micah and Sarah. Micah and Sarah show. Are you about to cry already?
I just yawned.
Oh, I'm like, we just got started. I don't know what we're even going to talk about yet, but you are
already weeping. No.
No, just kidding.
I'm not.
We know what we're going to talk about. Well, first off, can we discuss how there are, I don't know if you guys have been seeing this, but I have been seeing it on my feed. Tom Holland and Zendaya. It's an AI generated, or somebody that is editing it, where Tom Holland is proposing to Zendaya. I'm like, what in the world?
There was a whole scroll. There was like that. There was literally like a wedding photo.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that one. I just saw the engagement one.
Yes. Who has time?
Well, if you look at the likes and the comments and how popular it is, I didn't look at the
likes or the comments.
I mean, I didn't see the comments or anything, but
I literally
I'm sure it's really clickbaity. It's just kind of crazy how much it looks real. Like it's just crazy how it doesn't, I think if you pay a little bit more attention, you're like, oh, this is a generated photo, but it's just like a little scary.
I held it down on the thing and was like, not interested. You know how you can hide those things and then it won't show you anymore?
Yes.
That's what I did on that.
Yeah. It's also just like fascinating to be in a position where people are, because like, I mean, look, I ship them. Yeah, look
what
at me.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I knew I was gonna have to. I was gonna have to help you out with the lingo.
Put them in a box and take them to FedEx. That's what I'm picturing.
Nope. That is no. So the
that's what shipping something means.
Let me educate you on the Gen Z lingo.
Okay.
Ship means you like support them. Like it's like if it's a couple, you're saying like, oh, I'm like,
sure, you're in favor of their relationship. Sure.
Yeah, like sure. I like that relationship. Because they just seem like awesome people.
Don't get me wrong. I do like the two of them.
I love them.
They do seem like fantastic people.
I don't know them, but
this is not even just
I'm also just sorry, but I'm really impressed with how both of them have handled fame at such a young age.
Yeah.
They both got very famous, very young. And I mean, I don't know about them, closed doors. Mm-hmm. I think I've heard Tom, me and Tom, talk about kind of like his anxiety and things that he's gone through. Mm-hmm. But from the appearance, it seemed like they have handled it pretty remarkably for being young, so famous, and so famous.
Yeah, very, very, very famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love you guys. We're going to come clean. It was us that generated that photo. No, I'm kidding. We want to see it, and we want to be invited to the wedding. So if you could just DM us. No, I'm kidding.
It's not about the two of them, because I agree with everything that you said in regards to them, but it's about celebrities in general, where it's like the idea that you can be so concerned thinking about what's going on in someone else's life who you don't know because you've seen them in a show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Celebrity culture in general is just like, especially like when things get crazy, like with Taylor Swift, like something I just won't ever understand.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting when you like kind of just peel it back, whereas these are just regular humans that have gotten, I mean, they're very talented. Right. Most of the people that are in that limelight is deserving in some way or capacity, whether it's just like they're God-given looks at
Sure.
being very, very beautiful,
Sure.
or they're very, very talented. And so it's not to take away from that, but it is interesting how that happens where it's just like, but they also poop and pee
and make mistakes.
And like have human
They're people.
feelings and
Right.
human errors
Right.
and things that it gets put on a pedestal that is, it's very interesting.
And then
I guess like, I'm like, what did they do back in the day before movies and TV? And, I guess it probably always happened.
Yeah.
Like with rulers and things, but I think that's a little different.
But the internet just exacerbates the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because then you have all this stuff right in front of your face every single day. And someone, the second someone walks out of their apartment, it's news for whatever reason.
Right. Exactly.
I feel like we've said the word interesting a lot, but I do think it's interesting that people will be so ham crazy for like a celebrity or a sports team, and then they'll call like a religion culty. And I'm like, you're literally worshiping at the altar of that sports team, but you're saying that this like practice or whatever is culty. Like, it's just interesting how the gaps in thinking when it comes to like a belief system or a religion, and then like a celebrity or a sports team, because people they behave the exact same way.
Right.
When it comes to, you see people crying at sporting events because their team lost or their team won. They're not even on the team.
Right.
It doesn't even affect them at all. And stuff like that. I'm just like, there's a disconnect in my mind when it comes to that, because I'm just like, you're behaving this way over here, but then calling this culty, and it doesn't compute.
I think that just has to do with people's upbringings and and how their parents viewed different things in the world. And I didn't necessarily grow up with parents that were obsessed with sports in that way or anything, but I bet if I did, I would be more like emotional around a team and stuff.
I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with that.
No,
I just mean it's interesting how it's like one thing is fine in pop culture's eyes and the other thing is not.
Right.
The other thing is like culty or like group think. Whereas if you go to a sporting event, it's like the epitome of group think. So to me, it's all the same.
Yeah. The whole like group think thing, when it comes to whether it's religion, whether it's a philosophy or anything, it's like anyone can just have like, these are, my own beliefs. And I think everybody has their own beliefs, but to a degree, there's some sort of groupthink involved where it depends on who you're listening to, who you're surrounded with.
Yes.
Different things like that.
I agree. I agree with that.
You're kind of choosing your group thing.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always found, obviously there's real brainwashing going on out there and people are being manipulated and gaslit. Right. I understand that happens and it's a negative thing. But that's why I have always found the concept of a lot of the times when people say this thing, you are being brainwashed by this thing. And it's like, well, if you don't choose how to wash your brain, someone else is going to wash your brain over with something else, and you're going to think you're not being brainwashed, quote unquote, because it's just what the media, it's just what's there in front of your eyes. So I agree that it depends on who you're surrounded by, what's important to you, your value system, all of that I agree with. But if you choose it, it's one thing. But if you don't, and you just go along with society's whatever, and you never think about it, that's a different thing.
Even religion, like if you're like, like if you're a religious person or if you're somebody of faith in whatever category that is, I think it's important to think about, why do I believe what I believe? Of
course.
And like actually take ownership in what you believe in, as opposed to like, well, I'm just doing what my parents did or doing what everybody else is doing. I think it's important in all facets to kind of do that for yourself so that you can get deep rooted in that category.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, that thing.
Why do I think this way? Why do I believe this? I agree.
Because you're right. Like, it's like I feel like you'll be brainwashed regardless. You'll like, there is real indoctrination that is happening, in the country. We're not downplaying that at all. And brainwashing. But like, I think general things that whether it's you're being brainwashed by the news or brainwashed by media or brainwashed by religion or brainwashed by self-help and personal development,
right,
and different things like that. It's like, well, choose the one that you feel like is going to be the most beneficial to your life, as opposed to just letting it happen.
That's what I'm saying. Just choose it, because you're getting brainwashed. That term, I just put it in quotes because it's just a funny term.
Yeah.
But that's happening no matter what you're doing or what you believe. But if you choose it, then it becomes intentional.
Yeah.
Versus like, well, how did I get here to this belief system?
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of comes back to what you think about, and it's such a very novice way of putting it. But if you think you had a bad day, you're going to have a bad day, regardless of how good or bad the day actually went. Not to say there's actual, maybe it's a really crappy day with some tragedy in it.
Yeah.
And not to like be this toxic positivity of like, oh, we went through a miscarriage. Like that's like, we're just going to choose gratitude in this, and which you can ultimately, but there is a grieving process that I think is necessary to go through. And
for sure,
because we're human beings. We're not robots. If we are able to shut off the emotion part of our brain and just think logically, I don't think love would exist.
But humans are not logical.
No.
Humans are emotional beings. And most people make all of their choices based on emotion, not logic.
Yeah, emotion is really good in love, like having love for somebody, or love for or passion around
a craft or like
something that you're pursuing. But emotion typically is not always the best indicator of what choices you should make.
Definitely not.
Yeah, somebody said to me, it's like, don't make a life-altering decision when you are highly emotional. Like maybe do it the next day when your emotion is kind of passed, and then you can maybe think a little bit more logically. And I don't know. I think that's also a common relationship advice is don't go to bed angry or don't go to bed fighting or something like that. I guess that could be good for some people, but sometimes I feel like it's not necessarily a bad thing to maybe be like, we're both really like our emotions are really heightened right now. Let's sleep this off as much as you can, because maybe it will keep you up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, I was like,
taking some space in a moment is one thing, but like going to sleep for the night, yeah, I could never do that.
Okay, so you wouldn't agree with that. Like you would agree with the whole like, hey, let's try to resolve this before going to bed.
I mean, it's just because I wouldn't be able to go to sleep.
Yeah,
I do think,
I guess it depends on the person as well.
Yes, it depends on how you're wired. And I do think if there's something being discussed or a disagreement that's happening and it is beneficial to take a moment, or things are becoming heightened and it's like, I need to process this by myself so I can become more logical and we can have a discussion that is more logical versus emotional. Although I don't know if I'm honestly ever capable of that when we're having a serious discussion, because I just get emotional very quickly.
We have found that to be true.
Not that it's a bad thing, but I just become, I don't know why. It's just like, if we're ever talking about something that's slightly not on the same page.
Is that you operating out of fear, or it's like, because I notice the times when you get kind of almost it's not uncontrollable, but a little bit tears wise it is. Yeah. It seems like when we're having a disagreement and we're not on the same page with something, you just like kind of cry, whether, and you're very much like, just, don't let this sway you in any way. I'm just like, I can't help this, kind of a thing. But is that just because it's fear of, if we have a disagreement that our relationship's going to start like to edge?
No.
Or like depart in any way?
No.
Okay.
No, I just don't like that I become emotional so quickly. It's almost like I'm exhibiting signs of feeling very emotional, but on the inside, I don't feel that emotional. But I'm but tears are coming out as if I am. It's a weird thing. It's like just my body's response to conflict is crying.
Right.
Whether it's in anger, it's in just like even just slight disagreement, and then I don't want, like you were saying, I don't want the tears to influence the continuation of the discussion. So then I'm kind of like, just pretend it's not happening. Like, just, I want the discussion. I don't want you to stop the discussion because I'm appearing as though I can't handle it.
Right.
Because I can and I want to have the discussion, but outwardly I'm appearing that I'm becoming like overwhelmed emotionally, but I'm not actually. Yeah. I don't know.
No, I get that. I've come to understand that about you and just understand that, like, all right, here comes a tough conversation we're about to have, and she is more than likely going to cry, and it is what it is, but we need to have it, because if we don't, like, then this is going to continue to fester and get worse, like in our relationship. And so we just kind of push through.
Yeah. And I think I told you that, like, once in my past, someone told me that my crying was like a manipulation tactic. So then I felt very self-conscious about that reaction, because I don't want you to think that I'm trying to manipulate the way that you have the discussion because you're seeing me cry. Because I've never been able to make myself cry without actually, I can't make if I'm crying, I'm crying. I can't make myself cry, and I can't stop myself when I'm about to cry. So I was always confused by that, because I'm like, I don't want to be crying. I wish I wasn't. But it's certainly not on purpose to try to manipulate the outcome of the discussion.
Right.
So I think that's also, because then once I start to get emotional, then I'm annoyed that I am appearing emotional.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle.
So yeah, it just,
because you're getting emotional,
round.
and then you're in your head thinking, I hate that this is happening, and I'm emotional because I'm emotional.
Yes.
It's just like,
and I'm like mad at myself because I'm getting emotional.
Well, I never took it as emotional manipulation, because I don't know. I just understood that that's just kind of what happened. And so it never made me sway on the like, whatever we're discussing.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't make me
like stop
or
hold back.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. It didn't make me hold back on like what I wanted to get across and what I wanted to talk about. And so, yeah, I never took it as that, because I don't know. I didn't think that you were, I mean, if you look at it, how you act in every other way, it wouldn't even make sense. Like you said, like, I've never seen you be able to just cry on demand, unless you put up, on, then that'll make anybody cry. Or Paddington.
Oh gosh, Paddington.
That one was a
Holy
wrecker.
Moly.
Have you felt yourself be more emotional than you have been not pregnant?
Only here and there, but honestly, not that much.
The only reason I say this is because I haven't seen much of a change.
The same amount of crying as always.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't think that. If it's been very slight, if there has been, I think definitely crying because it was cloudy out was the main. There was like that day where I was just feeling very, I don't know what was happening to me that day.
Yeah.
And that's the only day where I felt like, this is insane. I would not be tearing up about this if I didn't have extra hormones coursing through my veins.
You felt like it was maybe heightened at that point.
100%. I don't think I have never cried in my life because the sun wasn't out.
Oh, yeah, right. That's right. Like, legitimately cried because it was cloudy out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. I remember that day.
That was the only day that I felt like my emotions are, this is beyond what I would be experiencing normally.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really have much else. I could blame other times on pregnancy, but I don't know that they would have been much different if I weren't pregnant, honestly.
No, you've been a rock star. The first trimester was, I just remember that being a bit rough, like for the first 14 weeks, because you were very nauseous and sick and very tired. And it was hard for me to see you go through that and know that that was probably so frustrating for you. But then second trimester on, you've been so impressive. Like you haven't really skipped a beat and working out and everything. And now you're 30 weeks at this state. Just about.
It will be in 2 days.
Well, it will be when this comes out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll be 30 weeks.
Yeah.
30 weeks, which means we are at the we're at the finish line almost.
We are.
We're at like the final stretch here.
Yep.
So how are you feeling about everything?
I am still a little bit in denial, I think, of like what's going to happen.
Even though you're like feeling the kicks and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not, I think what I mean is I'm in denial about how he comes out.
Sure.
I'm just like, they'll just really appear. Just going to magically go from in there to my arms. And there will be no process involved to get him here.
Existence.
I had a dream. I told you about that dream. Did I tell you about that? I had that dream.
That happened?
He was here, but I didn't go through the process of giving birth. Like, there was no painful process. And he was, thank God, because in my dream, he was like toddler sized from the beginning. Like he weighed like 20 pounds.
Oh, that would have, that was, you probably, so, if you did give birth to that, you most definitely would black out.
I don't think they would let you give birth to something that big.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, no. I wonder what the largest baby ever born was.
That would be interesting to. I was like, Google it.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it.
But yeah, I dreamt that, but I didn't go through the laboring process in that dream. What?
The heaviest baby ever recorded by the Guinness Book of World Records was 22 pounds.
A 22-pound baby?
It was born to Hannah Bates, who was 7 feet 11 inches tall.
What? I need someone to fact check this.
Weighed 22 pounds and was 28 inches long.
28 inches long, over 2 feet. I wonder if she had a C-section.
So the father was 7 feet 9 inches tall. So it's a 7'9" man and a 7'11" woman's baby that was 22 pounds, 28 inches long. The baby looked like a 6-month-old at birth. Oh, this is tragic. The baby died 11 hours after birth.
Point is, I'm not going to have a 20-pound baby.
No, you're not. Yeah, it's literally like 2 months away.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just about.
It's just every time I go in the nursery and I see these little baby clothes and the baby diapers and things, I'm just like, I can't believe we are about to have a child that we created. Like when you just think about how a baby is born, not the sex part, but like the fact that like this thing has to meet an egg and the chances of that happening at the time of the month that's happening. And then that forms and grows ligaments and tendons and bones and muscles, organs, like from this little
from cells,
and it just accumulates and grows into what you see today. It's miraculous.
It's bonkers.
There's no other way to say it other than it's just like it's a miracle.
It is.
Anyway,
yeah, it's surreal. But anyway, I'm really excited. I'm very excited for him to be here.
Yeah.
I just like in my mind kind of skip over the thinking too much about what happens before that.
Yeah. It's so funny because like through your pregnancy, we have traveled more this like year than we have in probably the last year.
Yeah.
And that's through like which you would normally think like, oh, we're gonna like just be homebodies and take it easy or whatever, but which, we're not doing anything stupid or doing, traveling after the point that you're not supposed to.
Right.
Like we had our Babymoon this past week. Yes, 2 weeks ago, which was amazing. We went to Jade Mountain Resort, shout out.
Yeah. In St. Lucia.
It was in St. Lucia, gorgeous. The whole thing is like the rooms are open concept and you can just like look out. And so a lot of people are like, wait, does that mean like no AC and else? The temperature is pretty perfect like throughout the whole time. And the way that the rooms are with the fans and everything, it's regulated pretty well.
A lot of breeze.
Yeah, a lot of breeze
when you're sleeping.
And it was gorgeous. The staff was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to travel is always a blessing. And if you have the means, I think it's such a great way to see the beauty of God's creation in so many different ways.
Man, there's so much to see. It's rare for most people to even scratch the surface of all there is to see in a lifetime.
No kidding.
Which I just love traveling so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's also like we're kind of go people. We've just always been that way.
We're go dancers on the side. So outside of social media, we if you're wondering, that is how we make a couple more dollars. So if you want to hire us, go to go Micah and Sarah.
I mean, yeah, if anyone goes to that, tell me what's on it.
go Micah and Sarah.org. .edu.
.edu. But that trip in particular was it was really special. I think that's something that will be
a memory.
Yes, like a big highlight of our lives together, just because it's such a unique, obviously before having our first kid, it's a unique season. You're only in that season one time.
Like it's funny because like we spend so much time together, but quality time wise, if we're not intentional about it, it just slips away. Like the day can go by and we haven't had actual quality time. And you know, whether and we spend most of our like time with each other in the same room. But it really does take an intentionality, because it's so easy to just go through your days and just focus on what you need to do and tasks and chores and business and you know, your job or what have you, and then you're just kind of giving your leftovers to your spouse, and that's when you're tired, your spouse is tired, and you just want to put on a movie or a show and
just like turn your brain off.
and turn your brain off. But then you skip out and you don't have any connection really there, or true quality time. And I think you have to. I think this is because I was we had a talk or I was listening, had a conversation with a friend, and I think it's important to identify what quality time means to, like, if that's something that is a big like love language for each other. Identify what quality time, what that looks like for each person. Because a guy could think, well, we spend plenty of quality time.
Like we watched a movie.
We watched a movie last night. For, you know, and that's 2 hours that we spent together. You know, and so. But to her, it's like, no, or a guy's like, well, we're content creators. And so we filmed all day and like we did a lot of content together. And so we have a ton of quality time together. But for the other person, it's like, yeah, but that's all business or that's all career. That's all job. That's work. And we didn't actually connect in any other way outside of that. I'm sure this was going to be even more imperative once we have a kid. Right. You know,
because it can be hard for weeks to go by and be like, we haven't had any real quality time. We haven't had a real conversation about something that's unrelated to
our son,
work or business,
or our son.
Well,
too. I think that's something that also happens. I think it was our midwife or whoever.
It was an ultrasound tech we had,
Yeah, we were just like, I was just asking her, like, you know, because she had a couple little ones, and she, and I asked for, you know, what was a good piece of advice for newly, you know, for somebody who's having a kid for their first time. And she said, don't forget that you love each other. And she's like, what I mean is like, make sure that you, what's the word? Prioritize. You prioritize like a date night a month, or maybe 2 a month if you can, you know, or 1 a week if you absolutely can. You know, that might be stretching it, but at least one a month where you can just connect with you two and remember that you guys exist, because it's going to be all about the baby. And it's very easy to just get sucked into that and then forget about your relationship.
And that's this, when I was having a chat with your sister this past week, and she was asking me about some of the things that we want to like teach our kids, examples we want to set. And I was saying how jumping around. Excuse me, sir.
Got excited about what we're about to teach him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Wait till he hears it.
See if you jump now.
Yeah. And I was saying is what I want to set the example that like you are first. You come before him. And obviously when it's a newborn, you have to give a newborn what it needs.
Yeah.
And so when you have a new baby, like, sorry, little baby.
I don't care that you're hungry.
Yeah, he's priority.
My husband is priority. And
but
you're going to have to wait.
But I mean, as our kids are growing up and they start to really, they're watching us and our example, something that's very important to me is that I want them to know that like God is our number one. We're each other's number two, and they're next. Like they don't come before you. And I don't know exactly how to live that out yet. We'll figure it out. Yeah. But I think that's something that's very important to see how I treat you, you treat me. Yes. We speak to each other with respect, and that we're a unified team with one another. It is so difficult to, when we're just in our apartment, which is where we do everything, to prioritize that quality time, because it's like, oh, but we should be doing this or we should be doing that or whatever. Whereas like you remove yourself and put yourself in a different environment, it's much easier to be like, oh no, this is quality time environment. And what I also loved about Jade Mountain is there are no TVs in the rooms.
Yeah. Yep. That was nice. I think it was also like kind of exposing for me, at least, where it's like nighttime came and then I was like, oh, I wish I could just put on a show or a movie, to go to sleep to. And it's like, why do I need, like, why is that where my mind goes? Why is that I'm like, that must be a habit or a system I have put in place where it's like, okay, time to wind down to a movie or to a TV show, as opposed to just like basically being forced to, without having that, to connect and talk to each other. I know that sounds very like, well, duh, but it's easy to kind of fall on whatever vices it is that are maybe the easier route, or it just takes less thinking. And I not to say that there's like, you should never watch TV or movies. I love TV and I love movies.
Same.
I think it's just not, it's being careful that doesn't become like your fall
sure, like a crutch thing.
And the crutch thing.
That's why I like not having a TV in our bedroom. Because it's not good for you, number one, just in general.
Right. Even though we will watch something all the way up until we go to sleep. It's just out here, and then we go into bed.
It still feels different somehow, because I can't have that be. I can't fall asleep to that.
Yeah.
It has to be like, that is done, and now I'm in my peaceful zone where I don't even. I keep my phone charged. Like, I charge my phone out here. I don't even have my phone in there. Yeah. For me, I like
that's
separation.
Something that is nice. Like, to have your phone like that, to have a rule where your phone doesn't come in bed with you and you keep yours out here. I keep, like, I use mine as a alarm clock, but I have it up on a thing that's kind of hard to get to, but try our best to not have phones in our bed. I don't do as well as you do, but I see your eyes.
Like,
you're like, are you going to tell them? Okay. Confession. I am not still not great at that. I could improve on
also
that.
Our alarm clock, you can set 2 different alarms.
But then I have to reach all the way across you to turn it off.
I'm not even there usually when you're waking
That's
up.
not true. You have been.
For the past 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you're pregnant, and if I reach across, I could hurt you.
Well, in regular life, I've been catching up on some sleep this week, so I've been sleeping in later than normal. But in regular life, I'm generally up hours before you. So you can.
True. Okay, so you can set 2 alarms on that one.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess we can try that.
I know you don't like the bird chirping sound.
No, the bird chirping is fine. It's nice. It's a nice way to wake up. Something like that, right?
That's the sound behind the birds chirping.
Which sounds like is it Florida State? Like the That's what it sounds like.
I don't know what that is, but yeah.
You don't know what that is?
No.
You've never heard that chant?
I thought that was the Chiefs.
I think it's the same thing.
Well, because the one that's only birds chirping isn't loud enough. But it's like a flute.
Yes,
like
it's
a flute playing it. I wish there were more options, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't love the sound options on the alarm clock.
Maybe we need to get a new one.
Alarm clock suggestions.
Any
for
alarm
an
clock?
alarm clock that will ease you into wakefulness.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, can you comment some helpful, comment alarm clock suggestions that have a pleasant wake-upness to them. We're going to take a break while she takes a drink.
I'm going to take a sip.
She put the mic away while she was drinking because she has the loudest swallow that I've heard anyone, even with their mouth closed.
How do you swallow with your mouth open?
Oh, wait, yeah. Oh, no, this went sideways. This went sideways. Oh, boy. Sorry, guys. What were you about to say?
I was going to say just something that I think we were talking about this on the Babymoon, because it was like every day we walk into obviously the first time we walked into our room, it was like the view was it was the first time we're seeing it. So it was like so breathtaking.
Stuntsville, USA.
Yeah, which it was every time. But it's like then the 25th time you walk in the room, you're like, oh yeah, there's that view. Yeah. Again, and it was still
amazing, but the novelty it was amazing how fast the novelty wore off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is what happens in absolutely everything you do.
Yeah.
You find, we hit 1 million followers on Instagram, and that was like a huge milestone for us. And it was like, wow, I used to think that like those people were celebrities and like anybody that would have even 100,000 was like, wow, that person is so like famous. And so it was crazy, but it's like, then the next day comes and it's like, okay, well now what? And what's next?
Right.
And that always happens. And so that's why I think it's great to have goals and great to have a vision and kind of a direction on where you want to go. It's something, it's like, I think goals are great targets to aim at. And so if you don't hit them, at least you're closer to that target. But hitting the goal, you can't say I'm going to be happy when, or I'm going to be fulfilled when, because that target always changes.
Yep.
And it's such a fleeting feeling. You have it and it's great. I feel like that I've heard just so many people say the same thing, winning the Oscar, fill the blank. And
or even pursuing something. Or it's like something, if you're sort of like going down a new path, it can feel really exciting and there's a lot of novelty because everything is new. And then after a while, when like that kind of wears off and you're starting to feel that like there's resistance, it's not easy peasy, lemon squeezy all the time. Yeah. Like there's things that are going to be hard. It's not going to happen overnight, then people just are like, oh, okay, well then never mind. I'm going to move on to the next thing because I want that feeling of the novelty. And I can't remember what book it was in. Actually, I think it's Grit by Angela Duckworth, I believe is the author's name.
Oh, yeah.
And something along the lines of, I can't remember the exact quote. But
did you read that?
I've only read bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
I haven't read the whole book. And I was reminded of this because it was quoted in another book. Enthusiasm is common endurance is rare.
Yes. Okay. Endurance.
That's what it is.
Which essentially is the same thing as follow through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just following through with what you have, because starting something is easy as well. Starting the gym, it's because it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting.
Yep.
But day 58 comes around,
and maybe you don't have the outcome that you were thinking you would on day 58.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not as exciting. There's always going to be monotony to everything you do.
Day 520. You know, it's like that's not even 2 years.
No, you have to figure out. Well, you have to just like figure out why you're doing it. Yep. That's why the why is so important. Simon Sinek to doing, because the novelty will wear off, and then if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you will quit. And then you'll go to the next thing, and the novelty will be up, and the dopamine will hit, and then you'll be excited, and then it'll wear off. You'll get bored, and then the cycle will repeat itself until you die.
100%.
And then you will have not accomplished what you wish you would have if you would have just like, if you pick something that you feel like is headed in a direction that you want to go to. And if it's not, it's going to lead to the thing that you're meant to go. I feel like purpose gets thrown around a lot. That word, it's like find your purpose. And that can be very like a frustrating word for a lot of people, because they're just like, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm like. I'm so envious of the people that just knew what they wanted to do, and then they went after it, and they love what they're doing, and they're going after it. And I'm so envious of people like that. And I think that is an extremely lucky thing for people, especially if it's
rare.
If you in high school, if you just like, I want to do this, I don't want to do anything else. It's such a rare thing. That is such a rare thing. And it's beautiful when that can happen, but that is the 1%ers. So most people, you know, they're figuring it out, and they're just like, man, I'm 30 years old and I don't know what I want to do, or I'm 35 or, you know, or, you know, and I feel like I should have it all figured out right now. I feel like I should know what I should be doing, or I should be successful at least in something that I've been doing and I'm not. And it can be super debilitating and depressing. But I just think that as long as you do something, as long as you're headed in a direction, like you're moving forward, and maybe it's currently not in the thing that is your absolute dream job, but if you do it well, I just believe that God is going to open up a door to something that is meant to be your purpose, or head in or open a door into a bigger arena that you're meant to walk in, that wouldn't have opened if you just sat still. You can't steer a parked car, you know, and I just think that as long as you're in motion, the thing, like if it's not the thing that you're meant to do, it will be the thing that leads to the thing that is what you're meant to do, or your purpose.
That leads to a thing that leads to a thing that leads to the thing.
Yep. I think about where we're at now. It's like, I wouldn't have, this was never on our radar. This was never on our radar.
Nope.
We moved to New York for performing. We did that. We pursued that. And then we decided to kind of pivot for a section and kind of like take a pause on that and pursue business and get our finances in gear. And then COVID happened, and this kind of just happened, you know, out of me, you know, but then it also kind of blended the two, where it's like, it's kind of part business, part performing. And so it's like both of those two things that ended up happening, and now we're doing this, and now who knows what the next chapter is. I'm kind of having a hankering for getting back into acting and that. And so who knows, you know, but I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's too late, or like, oh, I said that I you know, stopped that, and so I can never go back.
Right.
You know, that thing is like, I think that's so silly. Yeah. And that would just be kind of an ego thing. But you just don't know. And I think the moral of the story is just get in motion, pursue something, and then just trust and have faith that doors will open up along the way. I think John Maxwell was describing how you get in a car at night and there's you turn on what are those things?
Headlights?
Thank you. I was going to say tail lights, but that's the back. You get in the car at night and the headlights only go so far. It's probably like 10 feet in front of you. Do you keep it in park and you're like, well, I'm not moving anywhere until I can see my destination. I can see where I'm going. No, you put it in drive and you start to go forward. Maybe it's slow because it's super dark, but you go forward. And then as you move forward, you can see 10 more feet, 10 more feet, 10 more feet, 10 more feet. And then you see, oh, there's a corner. Now I have to go down. Now I have to take a left here. And then you take a left. And then you're like, oh, shoot, I got down the wrong trail. I got to take a right here. And then you take a detour. And it's like, that's kind of what happens as long as you're doing it.
I do think there has to be some intentionality behind it, though. I don't think you can just like drift through life nonchalantly and think that you're going to happen upon the thing that is going to be fulfilling for you.
No,
I do think
I agree.
There has to be intention behind like, okay, well, this is the path I'm going to take. And if I know that this is not the thing I want to do long term, I'm going to actively look for other potential opportunities and options.
Yeah.
And then the right thing will come along when you're actively looking the next right thing. Might not be the thing. So then it's like, okay, now this thing came along. Okay, well now I'm going to, again, it's like, maybe you are really excited about that thing, but it's still just like, it's pursuing something with intention and having your eyes open for the other things that will come along. Other doors that may open.
Maybe you're working a job and you're like, this is the only reason I'm doing this is to pay the bills. Well, but then outside of that, maybe you have a knack for woodworking or piano playing, or, it's like finding something that you're good at and, or really like to do, that you're just like, that kind of lights you up when you do it. And then you start to do something in that space, whether it's recording yourself, posting on TikTok, or, there's just so much opportunity in the online space and the performing space. We're all called to something, and in different ways. We're not all called to be pastors. We're not all called to be, the leaders of the world, but like some people are called to be performers and entertainers and make people laugh. And some people are called to be amazing craftsmen. It's like
and just craftsmen.
We're just gonna shorten that to what it's supposed to be. Craftsmen that make these beautiful furniture that we're sitting on. And so whatever that is, just don't judge it, and you just never know where it can lead to. That's it. I'm off my high horse. That's not what I meant to say. I'm off my
soapbox.
That's it. Okay, well, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. If you found this to be helpful for you and you feel like it would be helpful for somebody else, share it with somebody else. The whole point of us doing this podcast is to bring value to people, and that's really it. The whole reason kind of why we started it. And and subscribe if you haven't. That really helps the algorithm and helps the channel as well. And like and comment and all the things. And as always, we like to end our podcast by singing goodbye. Okay, that might be the best one we've ever done.
That's definitely the best one.
I think they were both harmonies. The first one was maybe very, very dissonant, but it worked with what we did. Wow.
It resolved nicely.
It did. Comment if that was the best one you've heard, or if there was a different one that is. Okay. Bye.
Bye.